Good evening, everyone. Thursday, February 24th. Time for episode 28 of The Last Admiral. We'll start up on page 223, where we left off. Okay. Let's back up to the last paragraph. Nundeblecht paid his homage to none save the master who spoke to him in his mind, appearing before them as a ruby-red version of themselves, physically perfect and greater of form and size than even Nundeblecht himself. Their city of Octlepi spanned for miles along the greatest depths of the sea. Their dwellings consisted of insanely cultivated coral, oddly domed and covered with seaweed, sprawling outward for miles across the bottom of the sea, and for thousands of leagues along the ocean trench that was their home. A great storm was blowing in from the southwest, and the surface of the ocean above churned with building energy. Their realm remained unchanged by the weather, but there was an odd excitement in their terrible community as caretakers swam urgently about. Their master glowed red in all his glory. The unnameable had come, and they gathered many precious items of food, fish, and slaves for sacrifice to him. 4 high priests of their order tended to his needs, while Nundeblecht conversed with him. "Long have you been away," Nundeblecht greeted, "and long have we awaited your return." "Nundeblecht," replied the nameless one, "I am pleased with your kingdom and your rule. The caretakers shall be rewarded with great hunts, riches, and slaves." Nundeblecht bent in homage, greatly pleased at his master's words. "Both the law and the chaos of evil are imperiled. A great force for good moves now and very near to the realm of Nundeblecht. Will Nundeblecht allow such wretchedness to go unpunished?" Nundeblecht rasped in rage that echoed for miles across the canyon, for he had sensed no goodness nor force of law near to his domain. Nundeblecht knows the humans of the island, but does he also know the dark elves who now walk on the surface as they do? Princelings of wretchedness, ravagers of the great egg, Nundeblecht knows all. And do you also know the dwelling of the defiler, he who ruined Octlepi and smashed the sacred egg? Yes, Nundeblecht clicked across the canyon. Even now, the sons of Aklon, he whom you once named the Ocean Wraith, City Defiler, and Nightmare's Bane, travel in the upper halls of the island, and they will soon reach your elder city of Octlepi. You must send a legion school there to destroy them. Kill them, and the bloodline of the defiler will be dead forever. Corrupters, ravishers, and murderers, Nundeblecht roared, light-bearers and hatchlings of good. I shall destroy them. And does Nundeblecht also know where the last of the island people dwell? Nundeblecht knows all. Send your legion schools there now, this very night, and destroy them. Take all of their children as sacrifice, and leave no others alive. We shall ruin them. We shall feast upon their flesh. Yes, Nundeblecht, the nameless one said. Good. That is very good. Do these things, and you shall be richly rewarded. Nundeblecht's roar shattered the sea, and that night 100 dolphins were stranded, unable to swim, paralyzed as they were by the ungodly sound of it. 1,000 hideous caretakers swam about their king and god, reveling in their power and anxious to wreak havoc across the land and sea. Nundeblecht lifted their passions into a churning frenzy with dreadful cries. Our power will grow with every ebb and flow of the tide. Now which school chooses the honor of the hunt? The Eastern School chooses it, one powerful male clicked. But his call did not echo alone, for the leaders of every school then begged for the honor. The southern school shall do it, declared another. Only the northern school remembers the upper halls and the ancient city, asserted Bublix, their leader. So it must be the northern school. Nundeblecht gathered his spawn close to himself in one gargantuan, loathsome mass of swarming monstrosity, hushed them with a series of pops and clicks, and then pondered. It is true that the northern school knows the upper halls and the ancient city, but was it not they who were defeated by the defiler? Many among them nodded, as Bublix himself bowed his head. But just so, Nundeblecht considered. For whom among us is deserving of justice more? And which of us bears the greatest right of vengeance? Allow me to regain our city, Bublix pleaded. Nundeblecht bubbled in consideration and proclaimed, It shall be so, but you will not go alone. You may command 500 of the best warriors from every school. Lead them to the upper halls. Find and destroy the defiler's sons, and recapture our beloved city. Waves of excitement washed through the schools as they rushed to assemble the most powerful hunters from each of them. Their hierarchy of the caretakers was absolute and instinctively known by all. Their leaders assembled rapidly. 2,000 fiends, schooled around the northern ruler, anxious as they were to prove themselves the strongest and most intelligent among them. Now swim, caretakers, Nundeblecht commanded. Recapture our city and slay the defiler's sons. Looking towards his left, he reached out a massive pseudopod, drew the leader of the eastern school before himself, and said, This night shall bring a darkening storm. You will lead 1,000 warriors onto the eastern shore, and from there march inland to the dwelling of the defiler. Destroy it and everything that stands in your way. Capture their babies and bring them here alive in the crystal jars. I will see it done, Nundeblecht. Then go, he ordered. Swimming in a titanic mass of reddish-black scales, spines, and tentacles, the vile school followed their leaders toward the undersea cave that led to the hollows of Shank's Sun and the island's eastern shores. The Nameless One, reveling in his power, churned the sea with his massive fins. Nundeblecht, he proclaimed, ye shall have riches and glory beyond knowing. Your power in the deep is great once again. No more shall the crushing defeat of the defiler control your destiny. Yes, Nundeblecht agreed. Yes. Soon, very soon your time will come again, and the land dwellers will offer you their firstborn children freely, for fear of your wrath, as they did in ancient times. Nundeblecht gurgled and frothed with pleasure. The high priestess slithered to his side, offering him a large grouper to snack, which he quickly shared with his master. That will be good, and then we shall rule. The Nameless One glowed brilliantly, swallowing his half with pleasure in one snap of his immense mandibles. Rising up in all his glory, he stretched his fins wide and fluffed out his spines in the manner of caretaker mating rituals. Dozens of females swam to him and released their eggs Dozens of females swam to him and released their eggs in an expansive, amorphous orgy of aquatic reproduction. I shall remain here with you until the quest is done, he declared. May the abysmal fires burn with us. May it ever be so, Nundeblecht replied. And as if in answer to his promise, the titanic fires of under-earth reached up their volcanic hands throughout the rift that flanked their ocean city. It is a good sign, Nundeblecht thought. Octlepi. Once, Octlepi was one of the grandest citadels beneath the sea. Formed from ancient, cultivated corals, their dwellings came in all manner of shapes and sizes, logical only to the aquatic beings for which gravity is not a deciding force. Formerly submerged, it was located in an immense vaulted cavern beneath the surface of the island of Shangsun. Somewhere in the far distant past, a terrible upheaval of earthly forces caused the island to rise up and subsequently lift Octlepi above the waves, creating a majestic cavern and establishing the first caretaker city on dry land. Its unique location within the steamy heart of an active volcano and close proximity to the ocean made it habitable to them. There their civilization flourished, and the human sacrifices to their devilish gods were plentiful. Feared undersea and on land, none dared to challenge their might. The Nameless One had blessed them and left them with a single sacred egg that promised to bring them a new and all-powerful leader. Their diabolism flourished until one day, when the defiler came and slew the great egg and all in the city who opposed him. A few of them escaped, bringing word of the desecrator to Nundablecht, and for decades they plotted their revenge. Father's footsteps. Their long march through Underearth was toil-wrought. Yes, the passages were more spacious and the trail was more distinct, but the effects of erosion, time, and lingering volcanism had left debris and obstructions of all kinds in their way. A day passed, and the brothers were beyond the halfway point. After a brief rest and a second hard day of spelunking, they had nearly made it through. The initials ALS, chiseled strategically into the sides of the cave walls, reassured them at times, following as they were in their father's footsteps. A long descending tunnel brought them narrowly to a towering vaulted cathedral, whose ceiling was yet higher than their night-sighted eyes could reach. Vlad, leading the way, paused suddenly in mid-stride, turned swiftly, and then pulled Derek backward into a place of hiding. "Silence!" his mind cried. "We are not alone." Vlad's thoughts reeled beneath the immensity of the evil that approached them. Stifling a cry, rising unbidden from fear, he struggled to calm himself and explained. "Entities from the deep sea that we have never encountered are hunting us. Even now, they pour forth from a huge salty pool somewhere near the heart of the cave. We have only one chance of escaping. We must cross this cavern and reach the undersea tunnel before they can surround us. I feel their presence too. It is like some clinging, wet, hateful thing. They have only one purpose, to destroy us and have their revenge." "Revenge for what?" Derek asked. "I don't know." "Then let's get the hell out of here." Darting into the cave, Vlad guided them, looking forward with his mind as much as his eyes, seeking openings through which they could move unseen, while searching eyes turned elsewhere, or some structure offered them cover enough to move. Strange rock formations loomed up from the cavern floor, at first seeming to be random heaps of shells, bone, and coral. But as their forms neared, their true nature was revealed. They were clearly dwellings built for sentient beings. Their geometry was random, with no clear attention to balance, engineering, or artisan's detail. But that they once were homes was clear, for oddly shaped windows and doorways adorned them. Some of them had openings over 50 feet above the cavern floor, with no ladders or stairs to reach them. Of course, Derek reasoned, all of this was once beneath the sea. "I can hear the waves striking the shore nearby, somewhere above us," Vlad reported. "We have nearly reached the tunnel in the submerged passage. Get ready to fight." Running toward the west, they struggled to find quiet footing among a floor littered with seashells and pebbles, deposited by the ebb and flow of the tide. They soon reached the first construction. In shape, it resembled two squat toadstools, joined together at the body by a conical tube that best resembled a caterpillar's cocoon. 40 feet tall and twice as wide, two darker doorways were evident at the base of each stalk. "It's empty," Vlad assured him. "Beyond it lays a flooded shaft that vents into the deepest ocean. The creatures are coming in through there. Somehow, They have a clear description of us in their wretched minds. Against 2 of them we might survive, but a horde of them is coming. Quickly!" They slunk westward. As they did, another passageway loomed to the southwest. The deafening sound of rushing water emanated from it. "That's not the way, Derek," Vlad directed. "We seek the northwest exit." Creeping around the building, they saw another structure, squat and round, like a fat open-mouthed frog, with a round roof of seashells atop of its back. Eastward, the floor fell away toward unseen churning waters below. Dozens of large, ghastly forms were spilling up over its rim, rising up and searching. "I am trying to shield us from their minds," Vlad asserted. "We will be invisible to them." Onward they crept, 30, 40, 50 yards and more, before one of the terrible beasts sensed them. Clicking wildly, it hissed triumphantly in its bubbling language. Its thoughts lanced through the barriers of Vlad's mind, and into Derek's as well. "Destroy the sons of the Defiler." Drawing Shinpa Gruel, Theron's voice banished the caretakers from his psyche. "Your father destroyed the city of evil, and I their sacred egg. Run, grandson. The caretaker's power is too great for you." "Follow me, Derek," Vlad urged. "I see an opening. We still have a chance." The west face of the flooded ocean shaft was steep and jagged, preventing the caretaker's ascent there. Clustering along the other side of the pool, the Bay Sioux had not yet completely blocked their escape. Fatigued by the hard journey, they sprinted 100 yards and then 2, but their tired legs handicapped them. Just then, as they passed near the west rim of the pool, a greater beast rose up. Clearly born of the same species, but thrice as large. Its gigantic clawed pseudopods grasped the ledge as it pulled itself, crab-like, out of the pool and directly into their path. Rising to its full height, it loomed over 20 feet above them. Bending forward, it studied them intently and then screamed in rage. Terrified beyond reason, Derek stumbled back. Looking up, he saw only the spawn of doom itself. Neither textbook illustration nor professor's description could have prepared him for the insane visage that confronted him. It slithered toward him, its arachnid glossy black and filled with malice that seemed to pierce his very soul. Spear in hand, his muscles would not respond to his will, if any still remained in him. The creature's appendages reached out. Its pincers opened wide to grasp and rend him to pieces, but Vlad dragged him away from the danger. Theron's voice strengthened him then, steadying him with his words and guiding his hands. "Strike its legs, just above the knee. There is a weakness there, and beware its fangs, for they are poisoned." Its prey stolen, the caretaker opened its maw toward the ceiling. Its pincers spread wide and screamed. Lurching downward, it sought out its prey, but they were fast away, having used its moment of rage to race toward the escape tunnel. "Surround them," clicked Bublix. "Seize them. Rend them." Slug-like, he turned in pursuit, with an unsettling speed that his fleshy limbs did not justify. Bublix was a giant among his kind, Octlepi born. He well knew its hallowed halls, along with every entrance into it and every existing passage. "Seal every door. Bring their bodies to me." Running desperately, the brothers finally spied the passageway that promised their freedom. A deafening cacophony of clicks, bubbles, and whirs saturated the air with haunting madness. Dark horrors pursued them from behind, growing closer with every stride, assailing their courage. They had nearly won the door and the greater darkness beyond it, when a massive throng of foes stepped out of it, blocking their escape. Truly shaken and terrified for the first time in his life, an unbidden scream flew from Vlad's lips. "Why didn't you ever tell me about them, Father?" he thought. "We've got to find another way out." "Go east." Turning around, they only managed a few more paces. The caretakers had them surrounded. Every second, still more beasts climbed and flowed into the ancient seashell city, pushing them back further and further away from salvation. We must use the mirror, Dad concluded. It's our only chance. There is no time, Vlad replied. We must fight our way through. Leading them forward, Vlad wielded Decapitator with both hands, hewing at anything that came too near. To cut was the sword's nature, and neither stone nor steel, bamboo nor bone was its master. Soon, heaps of slimy flesh and still grasping mandibles lay all around them. But the horde was swelling, pressing inward from all sides and forcing them to climb an ancient stair to the top of a coral pyramid. At its peak, a single round nest remained, with the remnants of a once massive shell lying shattered around it. Back to back they fought, but it was then 2 against 2,000. "Hold!" clicked the leader of the Eastern school. "Behold," he said to his brethren, "the hatchlings of the defiler stand upon the place of their father's transgression. Now his spawn shall finally pay for the sins of their father. Kill them, rend them, and crush their shells." The horde fought chaotically among themselves for the honor of the kill, striving to climb over, around, or through all that stood in their way, including each other. The brothers slew countless foes with sword and spear, but each engagement left them further injured, and both, taken by exhaustion, could not fight forever. It was then that an eerie bluish light began to shine from the meandering tunnel from whence they had come. The caretakers understood it to be a good omen, the call of their dark deity, and they were emboldened. Growing brighter by the moment, it revealed the colors of the volcanic hall, as well as the true nature of their enemy's visage. "I rather like them better," Derek observed, "in the dark." "It has been an honor, brother." However, miraculously, the light brought with it a sound, the melody of a hearty tenor that seemed familiar to them. "No!" Vlad cried. "It cannot be!" "Close your left eyes, boys," the voice sang. Close your left eyes, for daylight comes." And "close your left eyes," the footnote, refers to a tactic used by modern soldiers in night fighting to avoid becoming blind by flashes. Okay, and just a little taste of the next page. "A brilliant light, so very bright that it all opened eyes there were. A brilliant light, so very bright that all opened eyes there were, for the moment blinded, gleamed forth from the southeastern passageway. The mouth of the tunnel was dome-shaped and over 20 feet high, within which stood an old travel-worn fairy, naked save for his splendid armor and belted swords. Running his fingers through his tattered beard, he scowled in disgust. Octlepi spread out before him, a sea of foes swimming in from the pool at its heart, and now over 1,000 caretakers stood between him and his family." And that's where we'll leave off, the top of page 233. Will Vlad and Derek escape Bublex and the horde of caretakers of the abyss? And will Wraith survive to fight another day? Tune in next time for episode 29 of The Last Admiral. Thank you and have a great night.